We're going to use 3 easy watercolor techniques to create a simple, easy beach scene in watercolor. First, I'm using an oil Pastel Resist to draw a moon and some radiating light on my watercolor paper. I'm using lemon yellow, cadmium yellow, and a yellow ochre. And I'm just drawing lightly on the watercolor paper to create some areas of yellow, and they will be resisting the watercolor washes we put on top. You don't have to go deep or crazy with it. It will easily resist. I'm using Caran d'Ache Neo Pastel here, and this is an oil pastel. And I'm just creating areas where the light is being reflected by the moon in the ocean. So this will be a really fun and easy painting. Next, I will be mixing up some washes in deep oceany blues. So I'm going to be using some cool blues, so blues closer to the green. These would be like phthalo blue, manganese blue, and the ones closer to green on the color wheel. I'm also going to create a separate puddle using black to create a shade to make some darker areas for rocks and the horizon line. This will create variation, but using the same colors keeps everything really cohesive. It's important to mix enough of the color when we're doing these washes so that we don't run out. So I'm making a lot of densely pigmented color and creating a large puddle of each color I need before I get started. Here I'm painting in the rocks, and I'm using a very dark shade of blue. So a shade is any color mixed with black, and I'm painting in my horizon line and my rocks that are just popping out of the water with this dark shade of blue. So this is, I believe, like a manganese blue with a black, and I did add a little bit of phthalo blue too, so they're cool blues, ocean blues. I may have popped in a little bit of phthalo green into those just to add a little bit more of that oceany color. Then I made a slightly lighter version, and there I go again with the phthalo green, and I'm going to add more blue into it. And that's just a slightly lighter version, more water. I think I added back in some of the shade to make it nice and dark, because we want to keep a consistency, and those are related colors now. Okay, so now we're going to just do a nice wash over that whole surface, and where we have the Pastel Resist, where the light is reflecting into the water, you'll see that the yellow pastel completely resists and comes through as I apply the paint. This is for the water portion of our painting. And it comes together really quickly. It's really fun. Really fun to do. And I'm just going to go over. It's okay if we go over the rocks a little bit. It's all these colors are completely related and analogous, so it doesn't matter if we touch them a little bit. And we don't want, because it's a night scene, we don't want them to be too light. So I am adding in some of that black, and now I'm just going over to make like some mark making to make it look like it's, you know, waves and there's movement in the water. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to mix up color for the sky, and those I think I'm going to use some of the warmer blue. So right now I'm using ultramarine blue, which is one of the ones closest to red, and that's what makes it a warm blue. So it is very, very close to red on the color wheel. It is the one closest to purple. So we're going to mix that up and It's still a dark blue, so we're going to go over everything. And I'm painting right over the yellow moon. And I had made some rings around the outside just so it was almost like, you know, that little foggy halo that we get. And I made a very wet wash. So it's really important that this wash is very wet, because the next technique we're going to be doing on this painting is blotting. So you want a very wet, juicy wash on here. So I have a little piece of paper towel off to the side that I've got nice and rolled up, and I'm going to get in there with this, and I'm going to blot firmly and pull out my clouds, okay? So I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to pull areas of color out, and because it's the night sky, it's going to look really cool because it's still going to have pigment left on the paper. So you're going to still see that dark, the blue in the background, but we're lifting some of the color out. And this is a really great way to use blotting in a painting. Now, for the next technique, we're going to be doing alcohol blooms. And it's very important that the places we're going to put those blooms in needs to be super saturated and wet. So I'm going to go over all the places I need to be dark and wet to put my alcohol blooms in. So I'm going back over those places and avoiding all the places I just lifted out with the clouds. So I'm putting very wet washes back all around my clouds, as you can see with my brush, and I'm just going back into my wash to do that. And then I have my alcohol all set up and ready with my Q-tip. Now you can use a pipette or an eyedropper for this, but I like to use the Q-tip. I've always done that, and I just directly add it to the paper. I touch the paper. If you only use a little and lightly touch it, you'll get tiny stars. I think it looks like a starry night when I do this, so I love doing this for night scenes. And then I'm just going to dip and dab all around the sky with my alcohol and into that wet wash. It's very important that the wash is wet in order for this to work properly. So that's why I re-wet the whole wash in the sky in order to get it to work. And then after that, I just kind of go around and see if there's any areas that need to be touched up. And I like to, as things start to dry, if things start to look a little bit washed out, which sometimes watercolor will fade a little as it's drying, I like to recharge areas with a little bit more pigment if they need it. Don't be afraid to add more color to your watercolors. Watercolor can be layered. And so if you want a lot of richly pigmented color in your watercolors, don't be afraid to mix a very deeply pigmented wash, and you can layer, or as we call it, glaze over an already dry area. Just if it's at all damp, hit it with a blow dryer first. If you want to do that, it's perfectly fine, and you will get richer, deeper colors that way. So once you've finished your final touch-ups, you can go ahead and blow dry it, and that's pretty much the process. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel because it helps the channel grow, and I really do appreciate it so much. Thanks for being here, and please come again soon.